What happens if your love for something starts to fade away? What happens if you find something new that captures your attention? How do you then turn that thing into a career? Welcome to this episode of Kintsukuroi. Toreno,
Yeah,
how you doing, Doug?
chilling.
Nice to see you.
Likewise.
It's been, when did we meet? We met in 2008, 17.
17,
Yeah, ComplexCon, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. I remember following you back then. We started following each other on the ground, but man, you've had quite an ascent since then.
Oh, it was over that human-made satin hat. And
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
remember.
So what's been going on since then, man? I see the way that you're moving, you know?
Chilling, man.
Yeah.
Just working on my style and creative direction. Still do photography a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah.
So let's talk about what you do, man. Let's introduce the people to who you are. So, Toreno Winn, stylist, photographer. What am I leaving out?
Creative director.
Creative director. Okay. So, the first time we spoke, I remember we spoke about you were in college and you played sports in college, right?
Precisely.
Okay. So where did you go to school? What sports did you play?
So I went to Holy Names University after transferring from Menlo College. Both were little small 4-year schools.
Okay.
Just played basketball at both.
Okay, that's dope. So, when did this ascent? Like, was this your dream to go into? Let's talk about being a stylist. Was this something you wanted to do that you always knew you wanted to do?
No, actually, no.
Really?
I thought I was going to play pro basketball after college.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So how does one make that transition?
I mean, it's kind of losing the love for being in that space of like, I don't know. I feel like when you're trying to hoop overseas and you're not like one of those like guys, I guess, like, you know, I didn't have like the year I really wanted to in college, my senior year.
I see.
And I was already over basketball by the time my senior year came.
Seriously?
Yeah. So I was just finishing up kind of the year out. You know, I put my best foot forward and try to like, you know, to do my best, but I just got over it. Like, I could tell I wasn't in it. By halfway through my junior year, I was kind of over basketball.
What was that transition point? Like, what could you feel led up to that?
When I was over basketball and I finished it. I finished when I graduated school, came home, and I was like, because I was still working out, about to go play over in Germany or France. I was going to get my citizenship and go play.
Wow,
And,
that's great.
I had a friend, she plays for the Seattle Storm, the WNBA,
Wow.
and her dad had a connection with the French team that she played on, because you know WNBA players, they play in France.
I didn't know that.
They play in Europe. Europe or overseas, and that's where they make a bulk of their money as well.
Wow.
They play almost all year round because they don't get equal pay as the NBA. But
Wow.
so the French team that she was going to play for again was making a men's team, and I was going to try and play on that team.
Well, that's really dope, man.
Yeah.
But you know what's so crazy about that is, I think the shoot I want to reference is the same shoot we talked about, the one that you did in New York. Is how does one go from just quote unquote playing basketball to this ascent that you had with that shoot? It was at the memorial site, right?
Oh, the Oculus.
The Oculus.
Yeah.
How does one go from there to doing that? Because that was like, for me, that was like high art, man. How does someone have that type of ascent in such a short time?
Blessings. Honestly. Yeah. And then just, I don't know, I put my heart and my soul, my passion. It's my passion, man.
Really? So when did that passion start? Were you like little?
No, I was a sneakerhead growing up my whole life.
Okay.
I just grew up collecting shoes, and like, you know, the fit was secondary, but I started taking it more seriously. I would say like in high school. I caught myself at like 14. I was kind of blending in with everybody, and I was trying to fit in.
Really?
I was playing varsity as a freshman.
Oh shit!
Like,
Wow.
yeah, I was playing junior varsity, like, you know, in between.
Crazy.
So I was like with the older kids, and I was like, damn, I just want to fit in, kind of thing. And I think it was around the time when Jeremy Scott dropped his wings, the first generation of his wings, the first iteration, and Kid Cudi dropped a kid named Cudi.
Wow.
In 08.
Right. The mixtape.
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
And that was when it was just like, you know, like Jeremy Scott just kind of like, yo, who put wings on the shoe? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like a level of like, where you saw like different, you know, and it wasn't like, you know, the typical shoe silhouette. And Cudi was doing his own thing and preaching, you know, positivity and also showing his own, like, you know, being in your own lane.
Right.
And just like being the best version of yourself that you possibly can be. So I really was attracted to that, and he's like my favorite overall artist probably ever.
Seriously?
Yeah, Cudi's a big inspiration.
Really?
Big inspiration.
Because I remember reading years ago that he was working at Bape, right? He was working in like Bape in New York. Yeah, I mean, you know, that time was.
I was there at Bape, signed by him actually.
Get the out of here. From Complex Con?
No. I got him signed at a concert at the Warfield in San Francisco. I took my shoe off and put it up while he was signing t-shirts.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I was the only one that I put up a pair of like polka dot roadsters, and he picked them up and signed them.
Damn, that's what's up.
I wore them the other day.
Did you really?
And Dr. Genius, actually, he was getting interviewed by Complex. I brought some clothes to him, and I wasn't gonna tell nobody. Like,
yeah.
You know, Cudi signed these.
Right.
Cudi was supposed to pull up low key.
Yeah.
From what my friend that I was helping out told me. So, you know, I was like, brought him just in case.
Yeah. I have to ask because you know, the crazy thing is Jeremy Scott has had this effect on the culture, but I've never really met someone who was affected by Jeremy Scott in the way that you were, like in terms of in person. What was it? Was it just the difference, or was it the fact that he's kind of like pop art, or?
I've never met Jeremy, and I wish I had an opportunity, and I blew it.
Okay.
I just didn't pursue it. And
what happened?
It was at the Barney's New York, the drop. They had a little thing. I think it was last summer.
Okay.
I think it was last summer. But yeah, it was like there was all the fashion people was there, just Aaron Preston. I think Jerry Lorenzo. I think Virgil was there. Sammy Ross. Jeremy Scott was there.
Right.
There was a few, like actually plenty of people that were there.
Yeah.
But they were, just showing off like certain types of collections for like specifically for the drop prep for Barney. So it was pretty cool.
Right.
But Moschino was there, Jeremy was there, and I had just missed them by like 5 minutes, and I had seen him from across the room, and I was like, I'm not gonna like run up on somebody. It's just not my style. Yeah. I'm more of a natural. Like if like we cross paths, and the universe like allows us to come together, and I get blessed like by God by the opportunity to say something to somebody and have it make sense and not be forced. Then that's when I say something. But it's not my thing to just be like, hey bro, like I just ran over from across the room to say what up. Like you know what I mean?
You know what's so fascinating with you saying that is. Alexander Wang, his career after school, when he was doing the t-shirts and all that, that was the most influential thing for me. I knew I wanted to be in the fashion one around 14, so same age. And for me, it was just some dress I saw in a cable magazine in Zimbabwe. And that was it. That's when I knew. But then, when I started reading about Alexander Wang, before he was hanging out outside of Milk Studios, that's really what opened my eyes to what was possible with what I had, right? So I saw him at 747 last year.
Yeah, that's what I meant too.
Man, I tried running up on him. That shit did not work. Didn't work at all. Didn't work at all.
Oh, word. Yeah, I met him, took a picture and everything.
Really? Was he cool?
Yeah, he's hella cool. Very
really?
Nice. Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Take my outfit.
Word?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. So that moment that you have, do you still remember what it felt like? Because when I think of the day that I had that dress, that I saw that dress, I still remember my memory shit. I still remember what it felt like, and I still remember what it looks like. Do you remember the day you saw the wings?
Yes, actually, yeah.
Tell me about that.
I was on, that was back when Kicks on Fire was like the go-to sneaker blog.
Right.
And I saw them and I was like, oh, these are fire. And I was like, these can't be real,
Right.
I'm like, yo, someone did, Photoshop. Because Photoshop was it was around, but it wasn't
right.
prevalent and people weren't that nice with it yet. And I was like, yo, someone's like gifted with Photoshop.
Right.
Like, they probably like created that, like the program.
Right.
And then like they're like, no, it's like an actual thing. And it was tight. So tight.
And it's so crazy too, because I think what Jeremy Scott does so well is there's such a keen understanding of like mythology and pop culture, and he fuses those. Because who was it that had the Greek guy who got the wings on his shoes? Was it Hermes or someone?
Yeah. Hermes. Or
yeah, Hermes. Right.
He was Zeus' scribe. I love Greek mythology.
Really?
Yeah, it's like actually like that was like I had a teacher growing up. He was like he would tell every time he would substitute our class. His name is Mr. McDonald. He would come in and subs our class like once a month. And we were so excited every time he came through. He was just like, he's like, whatever's on the schedule, we'll figure it out later. But we're gonna tell you guys some stories.
Yeah.
Or he'd be like, you guys want to go to lunch, or you guys want to like eat here, and I'll tell you a story. And he would just tell. He had all those stories up in his head. And I'm like, that's so fire. Like
Greek, like the Greek mythology stories.
Yeah, because Nike's a Greek gods of victory.
Right.
So
Yes,
like,
yeah.
That's kind of like where it came from. I've been a Nike person my whole life. Like I love other brands, don't get me wrong, but like
Sure.
That was like the first thing my dad introduced me to was like Nikes and Jordans.
So your dad was a sneakerhead as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a hooper, so he almost played it. He was supposed to go to play at Kansas State.
Oh, whoa.
High school.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he grow up in? You live in Orange County?
No, I do now.
Okay.
I still do. Grew up there,
okay.
born and raised, lived in the same house for all 26 years.
Oh shit. Yeah.
I lived in the Bay for about 5 years for school.
So let's go to history of who you are. So you lived in the same house for 26 years. Were you born here?
Yeah.
Okay, and then from birth you lived in the same house, moved up to the Bay.
I was just in and out for school.
Ah, okay.
Just basketball.
Oh, okay. That's dope. Wow.
Yeah.
So your dad was supposed to play for Kansas City. Did he play for college?
Kansas State.
Kansas State. Okay.
Kansas State basketball.
Sorry,
yeah. He was. He figured if he could get the scholarship there, he can go play in California where he wanted to be.
Damn.
He was a military brat. Both my mom and dad both were.
Really?
Just moved around a lot. They're from like Alabama, my dad, and my mom is from Louisiana.
Wow. Yeah. So a lot of Southern heritage in your house.
Yeah.
So what traditions do you guys have at home, if you don't mind me asking? Like things that we can't identify as being Californian at all, like gumbo, like like.
Oh yeah, that's like family stuff, like they bust that out for like family occasions. It's not we're having gumbo once a week, It's whenever it's a special occasion, it's going on.
We have to go back a bit. You said that the fit came second. You saw that stuff, but I'm still trying to gauge, man. How does the fit coming second to like seeing those shoes, how does one get to the point that you're 26 now? How does one get to the point that you've reached in terms of understanding your own personal style as well as you do?
Well, I stopped trying to like fit in at 14.
Okay.
I was like 14 and a half.
Right.
And I think at 15, that was in 09. That's when Cudi dropped his first studio album.
Okay. Man on the Moon.
Man on the Moon 1. And I just listened to it the other day actually. It's just like it was just a point where I was like, wow, I just need to like be myself. And that's when I started trying to just be more of my own person. Because I was always just wearing, I always had mad shoes growing up. I had a cousin give me like 15 pairs of hand-me-downs at 18, or no, in 8th grade, my bad, I'm 18. In 8th grade. And I went from having like 12 pairs of shoes to having like 25. And I was wearing different pairs of shoes damn near every day of the month. Or every day of the month for myself.
Right.
And I was like, wow, this is a dope feeling. Because people are just like, oh, bro, you haven't worn the same shoes in like a week and a half.
Yeah.
And fast forward to high school, I ended up winning like senior superlatives in the yearbook. I got
what is that? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's like, most likely to succeed, whatever. I got best dressed, and I was in there. Me and some other girl, I think her mom was a designer or something like that. Her name was Miko, I think it was.
Okay.
She's
yeah.
But I was I went through like I wasn't around during it's my backwards on my.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine.
But I was around during the jerk era in LA.
Right.
And if you were in California, let alone like Yeah, Southern California for sure. That was when like the colored skinny jeans came out.
Right.
And it was like, whoa, you're not wearing Levi's anymore. Like, you know, that's kind of like, that was like '09 too. So it was like all three of those things, like Jeremy Cuddy, Drake and era, kind of really like, because that was when I like first like stopped caring what people thought, because I was like that kid dancing in the middle of the quad.
Right.
So it's like I had to not care. I had to like, you know, if I really wanted to, especially when I was making videos, I was doing stuff with my friends. It was just fun. You'd have like 0 period class, like before school really started.
Right.
We'd go get donuts before class started and just be, you know, no jerking. We'd be in that thing.
So that level of confidence then started when you were younger?
Yeah. I mean, I stopped caring what people thought about 15, like realistically.
That's young, man.
Yeah.
That's like really young. Like, shit, I don't even know if I've stopped caring what people think at this point, like, to be frank.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, bro, people's opinions are just the time it doesn't. And it's like, if your opinion is your opinion, you're entitled to it. But like, I don't know, I'd rather for me, if I'm cool with what I do and I enjoy what I do and I love what I'm doing, I could care less what somebody else thinks.
True.
So, I mean, and if you don't like it, cool. I mean, I'm not doing it for, I guess, like, somebody's approval. Like, if it was all about approval, then, you know, it'd be a different story, but I just don't care.
That's crazy. That's inspiring, man, because at age 15 to start processing that idea probably gave you a lot more, because now it's like you've been practicing it for like 11 years.
It's a reflex now.
Really?
Yeah.
So what do you mean? Explain.
It's funny because I didn't have a way to describe it, and I was on Apple Music, and you know, like we've all been waiting for Lil Uzi's new album, Eternal Atake, and everything, and I was like, I wonder if he has any interviews out, because I like to listen to interviews. I drive so much. You know?
Sure.
I listen to podcasts, listen to interviews.
Okay.
Every now and then, and he's so interesting. And he's his own person, and and it's like to like the extent of like just really really out there, and I love that. And it's so cool. And he said, I think Zane Lowe said, "What's next for Uzi? Like, how's everything with him or something like that?" And he said, I'm just doing me. Everything's just a reflex. I'm just reacting. So
wow.
like he's not overthinking things, and
right.
I think that's like it's like a state of like almost zen to where you just
wow, yeah,
you know, like you're not like, okay, if I do this and then this happens and this happens. It's more of like, yo, like I'm just living my life on a consistent basis,
right.
And whatever happens, I'm reacting to it, and I'm not worried about 4 months down the road, 3 months down
sure.
the road. I'm just like, cause like for me, like I live my days, you know, 3 days at a time. What am I doing tomorrow, the day before, or the day after that, and the day after that?
Right.
And if it doesn't affect those 3 days, what do I have to do within those, like, you know, the next week? And if I don't have to do anything the next week, then what's the next 2 months, 2 weeks look like?
Wow.
And I mean, cause like my days change in a heartbeat.
Right,
I can have a free day. Like for instance, like on Monday, I had like my first off day in like 12 days.
Wow.
And I got a text from my homegirl to help Dr. Genius with his for his interview.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, bro, I'm at home. I live like an hour and a half away. She's like, can you bring clothes? I'm on set with this. She was like modeling for an ASAP Ferg video or something.
Wow.
And she styles too, but she was just like, I couldn't. She was like, I can't go shop for him. Usually we just go to Barnes. I couldn't do it. So I was like, all right, I'll get up. I'll go help you out. So it was cool. I just don't. Sometimes I'm coming to understand that you need to value off days more than ever.
Really.
And just you got to take an off day at least once a week.
Does that clash with your MO though, of not planning too far ahead?
Oh yeah, but I'm like, I gotta find that time.
Yeah.
It's just tough, or even like just enjoying my nights. Like
right.
when I get home, if I get home at 7, 8, 9 p.m., I gotta be able to like enjoy that time to myself.
It's crazy. It's crazy you talk about that. I think I've been realizing that more often. Mm-hmm. So I a few weeks ago, I decided to just, take some time off. We were supposed to meet in Vegas. It kind of fell through, so I ended up just in Vegas solo for like 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Then the day I was leaving, I low key was just like, nah, I'm gonna stay another day. Traffic was like 2 hours just to state line. The crazy part is just being absent from all the shit of like working, doing this, doing that. It was quite transcendent, man. Like, as soon as I got back, I had this flood of ideas of actually like viable things that I could do, you know, in terms of growing the business. I feel like downtime lets you, because even though I'm inspired by the fact that you live in the present, I feel like downtime lets you empty things out, and it's almost like you get a flood of like these new fresh ideas. Because it's like the state of consciousness and the state of continually moving is a state of always having like ideas sitting in your head and like what's next. But then the state of emptying yourself is like allowing new shit to like enter.
I mean, for me, like I meditate, I drive, so like I take that time when I drive. Like I listen to music. Music is like one of my biggest vices. I guess it's like biggest inspirations as well. Like, I spend a lot of time just driving, man. So I like sometimes I just don't use music. I just listen.
Really?
To myself, or I talk to them. I like self-talk in a way. Like you're in your own head, and you just kind of like go through what you got to do throughout the next day, week. What do you want to do? Like if there's something I want to do and I really want to do it, how am I going to achieve that? How am I going to pursue it in a way that helps myself get there in a timely and efficient manner.
So it's I'm curious about if we can backtrack just a little more.
100%.
Let's go from the point where you're now in high school, you haven't worn the same shoes. So let's explore that a little bit more. So now you're playing for JV, you're playing varsity, right? At the same time. And then you start to transition to like difference. So you're at that point where you're looking at things and you're saying, I don't want to be the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
Those albums happen. How does... Actually, you know what? Let's take that as the first idea. Let's link it to the second, which is you're in college now and you're deciding basketball isn't for you. How do you meander from there to turning this into a career?
I dated a girl my senior year, and she went to art school at Academy of Art. And all her teammates were like stylists and like designers and photographers, directors, anything like artistic, even painters, you know. And they, especially the stylists on the team, were like, "Yo, we like your style," you know. And like designers, I would run into it when I would hang out with them. They'd be like, "Yo, we like, you know, your style's cool," or you know, "I really love your shoes," and you know, you put it together with the outfit, or you put an outfit really well together with the shoes. And I was just like, I think like it just happened low key. Like I said, I won. Like winning best dressed don't mean nothing when you live in Orange County. You know, it's like.
Really?
Like you can wear whatever you want. Like just don't wear a white T-shirt and jeans, and you'll be able to get what you gotta get. You know what I mean? Do what you gotta do.
You don't really see like stylish hats out there. I'm assuming there would be.
Not at all, man. It was like almost like it's like playing like 2K on like the lowest level. You know?
Yeah.
You're always trying to play on like the expert highest level.
Right.
And I just It was easy. Like nobody really cared. Like it was like I was unanimous almost at one point. Like it was like so many people like motivated to do that.
But the thing is I think by now I know you a little bit, and I pick up a lot from the things people say. The other day I brought up something about what you've done, and you said I don't like to talk about myself.
Yeah.
So here's the question: is what you're saying just you being hard on yourself, or is what you're saying like, are you hard on yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a balance, everything in moderation. I learned that. I had a good friend named Matt Johns. He believed in nothing spiritual, but he believed in like morals and laws. Okay. And I learned so much from him. Just like obviously you pick out the things that you don't believe with, or you don't agree with, that don't make sense, or sometimes like But I feel one thing he told me was like everything in moderation. And then I got to college, and the first time you turn 21, you want to go drink your ass off.
Yeah.
My dad told me, you can eat a slice of the cake, but you can't eat the whole cake because you're gonna get sick no matter what. Right. And I was like, word. That's like, that kind of fall back into the same, I guess, ideology. And you know, that's how I am now. It's like balance. It's why I wear these earrings, the guitar earrings.
Oh, okay.
So,
what does that mean? What does the stone mean?
have you seen Dragon Ball Z?
No, I have not.
Okay, so there's the games called the Kais. And,
okay.
They're like, I think every planet is like, is I guess assigned one. And King Kai is like Goku's like teacher. And, but when you get to the Supreme Kai, like, which is like of like almost that world, each universe is like assigned a Supreme Kai, and they wear the earrings. Mm. But it's also that was like what they wore. But when they take one off and you give the right ear to somebody, and you have your left ear in the right ear, you become one person fused.
Wow.
So people always come to me like, "Oh, bro, who are you supposed to be fused with?" I'm like, it's just more of a signature balance, because you come together and become like yourself. I guess.
Right.
You know
right.
What I'm saying? So, it's kind of just remind myself to stay balanced every day.
So I have to ask, and I have to dive right into it. You're going to AnimeCon today. Yeah. What is it like being a black male and being cool and being into anime? Are all those things synergistic, or are they kind of like, do they work against each other?
Well, what is cool to me? It's all perceptive, you know, or perspective, I guess. You know?
Because it's, and I don't mention that as in my own frame of reference if I don't see that. My biggest influence is like for the past 2 years since I started animating for the brand have been anime. Yeah. And I was out there busy like 2 years ago, like you wouldn't have caught me watching any anime, right? But then I watch Akira for the first time, and Akira it messes you up, man.
It's a lot of references that people draw from Akira, especially Kanye in the Stronger video.
Right.
It's the scene where Kanye's leaning against the wall in like the hospital area, I think.
Yeah. Right.
That's a complete Akira reference.
So let's explore that. How do you get into anime?
Tsunami, man.
Really?
Yeah, I was watching it on Cartoon Network. I watch mad cartoons, play a lot of video games.
Yeah.
So, I played video games my whole life. Since I played through 13 through 16, I played pro, but like I started at 6, I started when I was young.
You played pro. What were you playing?
Gears of War, Halo. I was a shooter guy.
Whoa,
I played
crazy.
Call of Duty too. My coach told me if I would have stopped playing video games, I'd be a D1 guy.
Damn.
So I ended up going D2.
Oh, basketball. I just got it now. Yo, but still though, I mean, I feel, and this is the whole thing with like the Rad Black kids in that same paradigm where it's like, definitively you're a young black guy, so you're put into this lane, right? And we're all put into these lanes, right? So within that lane, there's almost like a lot of the time you're not really defining yourself. The culture is defining what it is that you like, what you're into. So is your influences, or was it you that like started to paint this picture of who you are now?
It's just, I guess, like influences, just things that I was just naturally drawn to, and not being afraid to be drawn to them.
Really?
You know? It's like there's like this, which is true. There's a lot of people that were like, it's weird to say it, but like closet anime fans.
Yeah.
They would be like, bro, I'm watching them in Japanese, subtitles, and we were like 14, 15, 16, like all the way through college.
Wow.
And a lot of people didn't, it was like weird that you watched it.
Right,
and I was like, bro, I don't care, like, stuff's dope, like, and it was like, and the cool thing about anime is like, it's art, it's a consistent art.
Right.
And I love like certain animators like Oda, who does One Piece. It's like the longest running anime next to, there's another anime that's longer, but it's like the one I've been watching since I was like 11, 12, or like 9 to 12.
Which one is it?
One Piece.
Oh, okay, One Piece, okay,
yeah.
okay.
It's still going. It's like on like 890 something episodes.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's almost at 900, but yeah, I've been watching that for a while, Dragon Ball Z, and other stuff like that. But,
what is it about One Piece that's special?
I feel like One usually gets like so like attached to characters, because it's like there's this thing called like character development.
Sure.
And in movies, you see it in an hour and a half to 2 hour stint, sometimes 3 if you're watching Avengers. But like character development is cool. But it's like to sit there and watch them. There's like arcs, so it's like, especially if it's like say there's some animes that are 50 episodes long, and it's like that is the whole story.
Wow.
So you see a very rapid character development, but it's not an hour and a half. It's like 9 to 12 hours. You know, like sometimes an arc. You know, or like even longer. You're like, I've been watching the same arc for like literally like almost a year now.
So how does one write a character development that's like that? Because I feel like that's a lifetime of experience to at least know how a human being evolves and how a human being changes.
Yeah. Also, just some people just like, you know, like sometimes they takes place over like a 10-year span.
Sure.
So, you know, especially the main characters, they probably started like in between like 12 to 17. That's how usually most of them start, especially when it's like an adventure based or like an action based one. They tend to start in that age range.
Crazy, man.
So they just like become. Most people that write them are older than 25. So they're kind of just rewriting something that's sort of like that's kind of like how they were developed, or like how they wish they would have been developed. You know.
You know, I could contrast that with what fascinates me, I think, in TV is British shows, British TV shows. You ever notice how the British just don't give a damn about seasons? Like, you'll see, like what's that dude's name? The guy who wrote The Office originally. What was his name? Who was this? So, interesting thing about his shows, I should have looked it up over here, is he'll write a show like the original Office. And it's a limited run of episodes and that's it. Extras is like, 4 seasons? And that's it. And these shows...
Ricky Gervais.
Yes, Ricky Gervais. So it's interesting because that relationship with character development, if I think of The Office, the character development isn't like Jim in The Office, the American Office, where Jim, you get to see Jim as like, you know, single Jim looking for Pam, Jim stays with Pam, Jim moves on, you know?
Yeah.
In the British Office, Jim is literally this dude who kind of evolves, but his evolution isn't necessarily that important to the story.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that with anime, it's completely contrary to that. Maybe it's a cultural thing, right?
I think it's, well, The Office takes place in like a spot. Like,
right.
It's at a general location. Like, for instance, like, One Piece takes place in like the whole world. Like primarily a world covered by water, which
right.
We are. Right. I think it's like 70% water anyway.
Whoa.
But I think in theirs, it's like they make it seem like it's like damn near like 10% is the earth, and it's like so much sea.
Wow.
So that's why it's a pirate based one. So
right.
That's why. So they.
I see. Right. Right. So also the mobility gives into the character development, the story arc.
Yeah, 100%.
It's interesting because someone was just telling me about Naruto just yesterday because I put up some post about Adidas is doing something.
Oh,
and the way they describe... Let's stop. What's wrong with it?
They did cool with like the first couple Dragon Ball Z shoes, but I feel like they didn't do justice, and hopefully if they really do pursue it, that's cool, but like Goku's shoe was cool,
right.
It was decent.
Right.
Frieza's shoe was the best overall shoe.
Right. What was Frieza's, by the way?
It was the young one. The Adidas
the young one, yeah, that was dope.
Reflective purple hits on the toe box and on the sides.
Okay.
Side panels. But it was cool, man. I personal favorite color. Right?
Oh, yeah. Dope.
Yeah, I don't know. They did Vegeta dirty. You know, it was cool. I guess look, the boxes stack up and it makes the Shenron Dragon. But it was kind of lame. Like, no offense to Adidas, but you know.
But you know what I think it is Adidas held this position that in the last year. You don't know what was crazy that I found out was about 2 or 3 years ago. You know that Skechers was the number 3 in terms of market share. Skechers
did a One Piece collab. But yeah, go to continue.
Did they really? Yeah. How was that?
I didn't buy any of it. I wanted to. They like took too long to come out with men's sizes. All like kids. I was like, that's kind of lame. And I'm not gonna like hunt down the size 14.
Yeah. That's terrible. No, I mean it's the thing that I found to be most
women's 13.
The thing I found interesting about Adidas is Adidas held this pole position for the last 2 years, not this year, but the years before that, 16, 17, not pole, right, but in terms of their ascent, if you look at their growth was dramatic. And it's just all of a sudden I feel like, what the hell is going on?
They had like the consumers on like the ropes with like hype, and
right.
You know, what they did was they introduced Boost, and I think Nike got the Boost presentation first.
Yeah.
From what I understand.
Right, from Bass. Yeah, they did.
Sure.
They did.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they did. And you know, whether they turned it down or not, whatever, they already have enough technology as it is. But you know, Adidas took it and, you know, kind of adapted it to his models with like the Yeezys, and I think Kanye coming in making the Yeezy a very popular shoe. The 350 version 1 was insane.
Right.
I think his best shoes were with Nike and Louis Vuitton, in my opinion.
You think so?
100%.
The Louis Vuittons are power.
Yeah, but the Jaspers were crazy.
Yeah.
That's when he did all those other colorways. With Nike, he just almost pumped out the same colorways. But which is still fire. Like, they're amazing colorways, and like I just feel like the Adidas hype was very high for a while, and it was like it's almost was to a point where, because he made it so hard for you to get. So like if you were a sneakerhead, you got them.
Right.
Or if you knew how to get them, or you just paid your way into it, you could get them.
Right.
And it almost was like a sign of like flexing and status.
Right.
Like if you had them especially when the Turtle Doves came out, and like the high top 750s came out, the OG Grey Jones.
Right.
It was like, bro, he's got to be rich. Or he got mad lucky.
Right. Right.
But yeah, bro, like they almost could do no wrong, and then they did. They had the NMD day. That was such a big success. The first one.
Yeah.
They dropped like 14 colorways. And then they had an NMD Day Part 2, and they did something similar where I think it was like, 12 to 14 colorways. And then they just Roshi'd the hell out of the damn shoe. And it was like the Roshi was the same way. I was like, bro, you got a pair of Roshis, dude? Like, it's hard. And it's like, bro, Nike dropped like 1 billion colorways. And then they did like another iteration with the Roshi 2 and dropped 1 billion colorways. And they did a trail version and dropped like damn near 1 billion colorways. Right. And then Adidas did the same thing with the NMD. It's like they did the City Sock, and they did the R2, and they did like, it's like, oh, like, give it a rest. Right. And then it became like a point, like, no offense to anyone that hasn't, but it just got to a point where it's just like, yo, if you have a pair, like, now they're so easy to come by. Like, you can go to, like, these don't cost like $1,200 anymore. They're like $400, $300. Like, you can go get them reused at round 2 for like $300, if not $250. Like, and anyone can dig in their parents' wallet and grab it.
Of course.
It's just the audience. That's why I don't wear Supreme. It's why I don't wear Bape. It's like, I love Bape. Bape's cool. Like, it's legendary. Right. But it's like older Bape was like going on too. But like the stuff like, especially with Supreme, it's like the crowd it attracts. I just don't like it. Same thing with like NMDs and Yeezys. It's like you put a pair of Yeezys on, it's like when people would wear a trash fit, and I'm like, dog, like it's people like you that make me not want to wear the shoe. And it's like, I don't care if I can do it better. It's like, it's almost just like, yo, like it's almost the consumer that's buying it and that's able to buy it makes me not want to buy it. So now I'd rather buy, like, if you can go buy a pair of, like, Jordan 1s, Chicago 1s, bro, God bless you, that's a classic. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. But, like, a lot of this new stuff is just, like, here today and gone tomorrow. Like,
I feel like there's a real danger with, like, Travis Scott stuff, too. I feel like there's a real, and I think it's an oversaturation, because I think what happened with these brands is the curious case of the Concord 11s last year, right? So you drop a Concord 11 and you decide that you're going to drop a Grail in 1 million units. And then the 350s, they do the same thing where they're like, yeah, people want these. And Kanye is hypothesizing on this world where everyone wears his designs.
Yeah, he wants them in Walgreens.
Right. And then next thing, the shits are being dropped in 1 million units. So now we're playing at a game where there's 1 million of these Concords, there's 1 million of 350s, and the 11 is one of my favorite models. But now I'm not going to wear that shoe if there's 1 million of them out there, like in one drop, you know?
You can go, I would, if you like the shoe, I say go buy it, and then you can just wear it later. But I feel like even though like the Sakai waffles came out, I waited like a month to wear mine.
Why?
Because you just get the kids that just go out there and they sit in line and they camp out. Like I don't camp out in lines anymore. Last year I camped out with the 97-1 Witherspoons.
Damn.
I don't camp out with shoes anymore. So
wow.
It's overrated.
Yeah.
I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
And like no offense to anybody that does. That's older
Yeah.
than me. I'm 26 now. I just don't see the point of me camping out for nothing. But you know,
It's I think the sneak, like we talk about this often, where we like I was in line for Supreme a few weeks ago, and there was a dude in front of me who was wearing like a work shirt with like some sort of like body hugging Under Armour joint on top, and some church shoes, like not even saying dress shoes because you know, hard bottoms, white socks, but he was in church shoes, you know what I mean? Like the joints with like the flat toe, the square toe on the front. And he's standing there in line, and I'm looking at this dude, and I'm realizing that the one way that Supreme kind of fucked up was, and maybe this was unintentional, but taking that Carlton Group investment overexposed Supreme to the point that the people who are originally into that subculture aren't in it anymore. Because all these people coming in are literally just coming in just to flip it. And it's shameless. Yeah. So I think what's happening now is that the sneaker game, like that's why I'm in Vans 90% of the time, is because the shit that I love is so overexposed that people who shouldn't even know about it, no disrespect, but it's no longer a niche thing. Now it's like a mass thing. So what's the niche thing to me now? Anaheim Factory Vans. So that's all I'm doing now, basically, just Anaheim Factories. So I feel like that's the same with 350s, Concords, and that's, I think, going back to that point in high school, I would hypothesize that's probably why it took you a month to wear the Sakai's, right? That it feels like now it's like everyone's trying to do the same. I
just wait, because I'd rather wait for you guys to like, I say you guys like I'm by myself.
That's
I wait for the public to wear them and for them to get it out their system, because they're trying to wear like 7 different outfits. And I'm just like if I don't get them early, or if I'm not like, if I see like people wearing them, I'm like, all right, well, how many people, like, are they that limited? Like, it's crazy how like, I catch myself doing how limited sneakers are determine how fast I want to go.
Really?
So like, if it, like, even the Sakai's, they were still kind of hard to get. Like,
they were hard to get.
Yeah, and I use my stylist perks to be sure make sure I get them for myself, but my clients as well. Clients come first.
Sure.
And I lace them first, and then I take care of myself after. But I got like both waffles, and I got the blue blazers. I didn't like the yellow blazers, but I'd rather wait for the people to get it out their system, and it's like, all right, you know, like time for, you know, it's like
time for you to wear them.
Yeah. I just, you know, sometimes I got shoes that I haven't worn in such a long time.
Really?
I just let it, and like, I got them, cool, forget them, I'll bust them out later. Like, sometimes it's just a matter of like not having the right outfit for them, or like, you want to do certain shoes justice, especially if you like the silhouette.
Let's do a little rapid fire. Favorite sneaker brand?
It's gonna throw you off. Rick Owens.
Rick Owens?
Yeah.
Which joints though?
Rick Owens, then Margiela, then Nike.
Really?
Yeah.
Margiela with the split toes?
Margiela tabbies.
Okay.
I just like Margiela because Margiela is just, as a whole, is always like whether that, like whoever was in the house, whether you know, it's just they've always just redefined what a silhouette.
Right. Even till today, right? Yeah.
And that's like the MO of the house, the fashion house, is just making sure you continue to redefine what a silhouette, like a T-shirt can be a T-shirt, but like what makes this T-shirt different? You know?
Really.
Yeah.
So I hate the term, let's call it favorite, I'm not going to use streetwear, favorite street brand, favorite thing to rock on a day.
My favorite designer is Yohji Yamamoto.
Really? Why Yohji?
I just always loved his silhouettes. Like, I learned what Y3 was in like 2010, 2011.
Okay.
And I could never afford it. Yeah, 2010. I could never afford it. Because it was like $400 shoes.
Right.
And like, you know, I had money. I had more money when I was younger than I do now. With like, you know, 3 different jobs.
Right,
I was playing video games, I was flipping sneakers.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I flipped sneakers like my whole life. Like,
really?
Low key, yeah. It's terrible, but yeah.
You know what? I'll be completely frank. Here's to hope your career continues to ascend, because I want to see you in a sneaker shop and admitting that you flip sneakers. I hate that it's such goddamn taboo. Like you can't talk about that at a point in your life. Flipping sneakers was like a real serious thing that you did.
It was more of like I did it when I was younger because I wanted to have money to buy real sneakers that I wanted. Like you buy the GRs, or what we call them now, GRs generally.
Right.
But you would buy those and I'd get like 3 or 4 at a time and flip them. Like that was when eBay wasn't taking mad money from you. I was flipping shoes at 12 or 13, 14. Like I'm still doing it.
Hey, pioneer, dog.
Yeah, I mean it was easy back then. My dad knew how to work eBay, so I knew how to get the shoes.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
And my dad was like, if you can get the shoes, I'll help you do it. We're making a little investment in that account for you and make it happen. But
yo, that's dope. So your dad was supporting your visions early.
No, my mom and dad, they did what they did. Like they just knew I was just getting money, and they found like money under my bed one day, and they were like, "Why do you have this much money?"
Were you in trouble?
I was. They thought I was in trouble, but I wasn't. I was just had to explain to them. I was like, I've been selling sneakers.
Damn.
And they're like, well, where are you getting the money from? And I was like, I had to explain that I was hustling people in PayPal lobbies for Call of Duty.
Yo, that's crazy, dog. That is crazy.
So, and then just playing like game battles, MLG stuff, I was like winning a little bit of money here and there. And then I just saved my birthday money.
Wow.
And
Focus.
I would keep lunch money too.
Really?
My parents would give me like 5 to 10 a day for lunch, and I'd take at least $7 of that every day. That's multiply 7 by 7. That's $50 a week.
So you weren't impulsive from a young age.
I'm still impulsive.
You're still impulsive, but that strength of character, though, being able to like hold on to your money, I mean, that's not small right there.
Oh yeah, we do our best.
Hey,
it's worse now because I have more expensive taste. My mom says I have a champagne taste with a beer budget, but
classic parental hate. So next question. Let's go to favorite couture house.
At the moment, I love Virgil, but I really love what Kim Jones is doing at Dior to come in and because I feel like a lot of people, especially people that were like less informed, felt like, oh, he's just gonna do another monogram print, which he did. But like, what he did with the tailoring is immaculate. And like his accessories, when he works with Nat Williams from Elix, it's just like crazy. And like it's just footwear. Like I stood there at the B23 oblique sneakers, and those are
congrats.
Yeah, they're fire, man. Like it's just like you look at him, it's like his even like the Soriano collab that he did. It's just like he hasn't missed yet. Like people are talking about mad about Virgil. Cool, like bro, like Virgil's doing dope things. Like his shows are fire. Like I went to his second show in Paris in January.
Oh,
but
dope.
but I was the only 2 shows I went to in Paris was Louis Vuitton and Dior.
Wow.
And those 2 were like it was like 2 completely different vibes.
Right.
But it was like at the same time very in line with each other. You know what I mean? So it was immaculate. It was fire.
You know what I love the most about what Kim Jones is doing is, man, the androgyny, man. The use of the lace that's probably some of my favorite shit that I've ever seen. I saw this suit he did for I forget which it was. Maybe it was the Met Gala. I don't know, but it was for one of the Jonas Brothers, and it was a white suit, and that's where the strap idea came in for that suit I was telling you about.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Is because I think what Kim Jones is doing transcends anything he's done before.
Oh, 100%.
I think what he's doing at Dior is the problem. I think what's happening with Virgil is exciting for the culture, and it's great, and it's exciting in general because it's talent. But what Kim Jones is doing is at least starting to blur this line, because I feel like the limitation of fashion has been that wanting to be heavily reliant on binary, especially if you're doing menswear. Like, people are heavily reliant on doing things that men could wear instead of exploring what men typically don't. Like, just using lace is so groundbreaking. Yeah, using, like the monogram, yeah, of course. But using a material like that, I think, is adventurous,
Kim's doing some dope stuff over there. And he's got Yoon doing women's jewelry and accessories, so.
Imagine that, man. Imagine getting to the top and bringing your friends and knowing that that's going to, like, destroy the game,
Yeah. that's the goal, man. To level up and like, you know, whether they're up there with you or they're ahead of you or you got to catch up. I think Snoop said it to ASAP in like the Southern interview. He said like, yo, like you're doing really well right now. You're on your way up. You're like shining right now. He's like, don't slow down for anybody, like not even your homies or something like that. And he's like, they gotta catch up to you. It's not you gotta like
drop
down to them, and
right.
then you guys go up. It's like you gotta keep going, and then they'll either get with it or get lost.
So
or just fall by the wayside.
I've noticed that about you. I've noticed that you keep your friends close.
Yeah, man. Friends is everything, bro. Like I got like 3 group chats.
Really?
But we have them on like 3 different platforms, and we talking like, you know.
Crazy,
yeah.
man.
I got homies, man, that I just keep close, man, because those are who was with me before. I even kind of got to where I'm at, and they almost like don't care. Like,
really?
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, bro, you do fashion, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're all hoopers. You know?
Oh, shit, that's dope.
They appreciate it. They're like, yo, your stuff's dope. Like, they love it. You know, they support me to the max, but it's more like other people care more than them. Like, you know, whether it's like they're passionate or they're not, they're just like, yo, you're still Toreno, you know? And that's
crazy.
like, it's like, they're almost like, I caught myself a few times getting a little big-headed, and they like humble me real quick.
Just a little peppering of hate here and there?
Yeah, no, our group chat was named Toreno's Trash for like 3 months, 4 months.
Seriously?
Yeah, they change it back every now and then to remind me.
That's funny,
yeah. It's mad funny. Yeah, they're like the funniest dudes I've ever met.
Really?
Yeah, bro. Like, I get more excitement reading our group chat than like, yo, if your group chat's not popping, you're not living. I'm sorry. Like, if we don't have a group chat, so I suggest you making one.
I have one with the family, but we just casually just talk about it.
Oh, yeah, the family group chat's cool, but like, get one with the homies, especially the people you grew up with.
Yeah.
Nothing like it, man.
Yo, I have to say though, like I was in a group chat, and I don't mean to throw the homies from Zimbabwe under the bus, but I grew up in Zimbabwe, right? And it's just more like, I think that group chat ended up ending, or I ended up pulling myself out just because I think it's, when we exist in this space, you're less susceptible to be dismissive of different people, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, within the space of being involved in fashion or design, you realize that who someone is doesn't necessarily determine their potential, and a lot of the time the most talented cats you ever meet are people who are fundamentally different from you, whether it's where they grew up, whether it's how they grew up, whether it's how they live. And so it's like, I didn't realize that the cats I grew up with, some of them had like really problematic ideas, and I'm not saying, you know, I stopped being friends with them, but I'll try and educate when I can, but it's very tough to just buy into certain shit.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a reason why I have people now that try and insert themselves into my past. And, yo, we hung out, you know, remember when we did this and this and this? Nah, bro, I have a good memory, especially of stuff I enjoyed in high school.
Wow.
Like, we didn't hang out. Like, and it's usually followed by a question of like, yo, like, I love what you're doing. Like, you know, if you ever need help, let me know. And it's like, you know, like, I don't call everybody out, and especially like not in that sense. Like,
sure.
You just gotta let that stuff go, man. I just feel like a lot of people are like, I can't go to the gym anymore.
Really?
Without somebody checking on what I'm doing in life. And I don't mind that at all, but it's just like people I never talk to, or like my dad gets like almost harassed sometimes. It's like, not like to him, he just does not talk to nobody. Like, you know, he's pretty to himself. That's kind of where I get it from.
Okay.
But I'm an introverted extrovert, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. Explain.
I just don't like, I don't mind having conversation and talking to people. I just stick to myself, and I kind of like keep to my own. Because there's like a lot of things that go on in my head that I'd rather not say out loud, because it'd be more disrespectful to somebody, because I'm pretty blunt. And I think that's why people ask me my opinion, because I'd rather be honest than lie to you, especially when it comes to something artistic. But yeah, I mean, yeah, my dad just like, he's like, yo, everyone comes up to me and says like, you know, they love how you're doing, and you know, you're doing dope stuff. And my dad's like, he's in that space of like almost being like unaware because he doesn't use social media at all.
Wow. Okay.
And my dad and I share the same name, so it's like he's like, oh, that's my son, you know, my namesake
that's
doing this
dope.
thing. But he's like, at the same time, he's just like, yo, just as long as you like, I had to prove to them that I was like what I was doing when I was decided to start styling, and he was like, I had to prove to them that I was that I could make money doing this, you know, and I could make consistent money. It wasn't just a hobby, and I wasn't just playing dress up with dudes. And
right.
You know? So I think he started to understand when I quit my job, and he like now he kind of understands. I was on tour with NERD for a while.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah,
photographer, content creator.
That's what's
I
up,
was running Shea Haley's page, and then I transitioned to Chad Hugo's page and doing both.
Damn, congrats.
Thank you. And I think like, you know, especially when I was on tour with them and being in other states and countries, it was like almost to a point where like, my dad was like, yo, like, people will not shut up.
Damn.
And I was like, my bad, Dad. Like, what do you want me to do? Like,
yeah.
He was like, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it.
That's what's up, man.
You know?
I mean, there's no greater feeling than coming from your pops, I think, man.
Yeah. My mom's my biggest cheerleader for sure.
Really?
My mom, she supports all the stuff I do. Like, as long as I'm not, like, spending money stupidly.
Yeah. Beer, what was it? Champagne diet with a beer.
Champagne taste with a beer, but
yes. So I know you said you had to go. Thanks for taking time.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. It is 3:23.
Yeah, I got 10 minutes.
Oh, okay, cool. 2 more questions.
Yeah,
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
So the first question is going to be, if you were to look at a cat who's maybe, because I think both you and I were lucky in this respect that, and it's ironic, it's the same age. When we were 14, we saw clearly. Maybe you didn't quite recognize it, but you see clearly something that really speaks to you. If you had advice for anyone who's in your shoes, is playing ball somewhere, someone who just feels like they have to fit in, what would you tell them?
This is actually the question I answer in my DMs the most. It's a lot of hoopers that will hit me, and
really?
They'll be like, yo, I scrolled down your page and I saw you played in college, and like, how did you kind of like transition into what you're doing now? Because I like, you know, I kind of love fashion too, but like I just don't know how to get started. And I think just like that, just like kind of getting into that, like, bro, like everything's a hoop reference, like basketball, everything. I think I don't know like, about other sports because I didn't play them as long as I did basketball, but I think everything, like hoopers will tell you, like everything like is a hoop reference. Like you're dealing with someone that you don't like how do you deal with a teammate you don't like? The same way, like obviously you do, everyone's different, but like the same way I dealt with a coach I didn't like, it's how I deal with bosses I didn't like.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean. And just like obviously, like you don't give up. Like if you're hooping, you don't give up. Like you want to get taken out the game. If you give up, you get taken out. Like you know, if you really love the game, you really love what you do. You're not trying to get taken out.
Right.
You don't want someone to overtake your spot. So it's kind of like a, you know.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of lessons to be got in order to get to where you are.
Yeah, I mean, bro, you had to fall to be able to, you know, learn, like, be able to pick yourself back up and understand, like, yo, I don't want to fall the same way twice. Because insanity is, like, the definition of it is, like, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Right. And if I keep falling the same way over and over, I'm going to drive myself insane.
Right.
By doing the same thing. It's not like every anime where it's like, oh, bro, you keep doing it, and then you finally break through. It's like, yeah, bro, yeah, you can break through, but it's at the same time, like, bro, like, maybe you change your method of attack, and that's usually how, like, people prevail and, like, kind of overcome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yeah.
Big anything up. What do you have going on? What's popping? What's happening? What should we pay attention to? Are you writing a book? If you're not, maybe you should.
Yeah, maybe one day. I'm starting to moving away from photography a little bit more.
Really?
Yeah, I just felt like I was more of a paparazzi. After tour it was done, we shot the same set for 8 months straight.
Wow.
It's the same. It was like damn near the same thing every time. And then I felt like I was just holding the camera up to somebody, and I just didn't like the feeling. And you know, I think in my mind, like, you know, I want to get there one day, and I want to, you know, get to that point to where people are like, yo, like, we need to take pictures of you on a consistent basis, instead of documenting you on a consistent basis, because what you're doing is really dope. And yeah, I just felt like I was glorified paparazzi, dude. And I just don't like concept photography. I just come to understand I just don't like it.
What's wrong with it?
I feel like you're just trying to catch someone do something this diamond doesn't. If someone doesn't move around, especially when you get like R&B singers sometimes, or like like guitar players, they're just in the same spot all day.
Right.
Some of them are, they just want to move around and play with their tongue and play behind the back, and that's just dope. But it's like you spend like an hour trying to get like 1 to 3 shots, and it's just kind of lame to me. No offense to anyone that does. I have homies that are fire photographers, and they enjoy it, and it's a thing. That's how they bring their bread home, but. I just don't like photography like that. I just think it's just kind of just like saturated too. Like everyone wants to go shoot an artist and pray they repost their photo to get, like 20 to 200 followers. I could give a damn, who cares? Like, I just want to shoot stuff that's more aesthetically pleasing and cool and like, I'd rather shoot fashion photography. Like, I got into shooting film and, sometimes it's like I just don't like, I'd rather shoot things that I create. Or like, I want to like, shoot the concept, I want to create the concept, I want to style it, I want to direct it, I want to do it all. So yeah, just working more in creative direction. I got some new clients that I'm starting to work with. Okay. When they get back from Europe, we're going to start banging out their video concepts. I've been writing treatments for them.
Congratulations, man. That's big.
Yeah, man. Other than that, I've been styling. I got other clients too. They're in and out of town. Some of them live in like St. Louis, up and coming artists, and I got Still doing stuff with like Jordan, Nike,
That's what's up, man.
I've still been doing short films. I've been creating short films for the last 3 years. I have one done. Trying to do one coming up. I want to drop in September. We haven't started shooting it yet.
Where can we see them?
The other one, it's crazy. We shot it 2 years ago. Didn't finish it.
Really?
Yeah. So we're still waiting for some because it's like there's special effects involved.
Okay.
I come with all the ideas and I just bring them to a director. So like usually it's a homie.
Really?
They help it come to life. So.
That's what's up, man.
So this other one I want to do. They all bring like attention to like modern day, everyday issues that we struggle with in our society. Like the first one was modern day racism. Okay. And this next one's about to be about suicide awareness.
Crazy. Yeah. As soon as they're done, even before they're done, let me know if there's anything I can do. Like post them up on the site, post them up on the gram, anything. Yeah, man.
We'll see. I just gotta finish them first. I have like mad people trying to ask me if they
really.
They're like, "Can I see it?" I was like, they're so interested to see what I do, and I'm like, I'm not done yet.
No, but I gotta say, man, from the first time we met, it was at a food truck. 2016. Yeah. It was the first Complex Con. It was at a food truck, and I remember that. Yeah. And from then, man, it's a hell of a thing to watch, man. It's a hell of a thing to see where you've gone with shit, man.
Yeah, it's all God, bro.
Yeah. Thanks for taking time, my guy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
100%.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Kintsukuroi. We appreciate the fact that you stuck with us this long. Credits. Music is by the illustrious Busani Ngazimbi. His album is called Still Waiting. That was the title track, Still Waiting. It's available on Bandcamp. Production by Tulani Ngazimbi. Audio by Tulani Ngazimbi. Editing by Tulani Ngazimbi. Thank you.